See, I've done a lot of plays. I'm also a director and I write. I love the theater. I love acting. I love playing different roles. And I've had quite a few. Stalin had placed people of power in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania during the war. But at the end of the war, he ended up killing them off and replacing them with Russians. It was an evil thing to do, and somebody wrote a play about it. In that play, I played Piranhas, a young infiltrator who was. I infiltrated the underground to find out where the weapons were hidden, and then I was really a Russian spy. But fair enough. Now, one night, there was 4 Lithuanian nuns that came to see the show. It was a small theater, not very big, not even as big as this room. Well, it might have been big in this room. It sat about 100 people. Anyways, while we're doing the show, in the last part, I have this big monologue saying how I met Stalin once, and he told me never to screw up, to be that fellow. So you don't actually find out that I'm an evil person until the end. And then Pius, who is one of the supposed heroes, but he dies too, he shoots me, and I drop to the ground, and I lie there for 10 minutes at the end of the play, still while people are talking above me. Fine. There was 4 Lithuanian nuns. They were very serious, and they really wanted to see this play because it dealt with their time, their world, and all right, it comes. I do my big monologue. It was good. It was fine. And then I get shot, and I kill, and I drop, and I land about, 6 inches from the foot of one of the nuns. She leans over and goes, "Thank God we got rid of that cockroach." And I thought, now I lay there, and I was trying not to laugh, but I knew I had done a good job, because she hated me so much. I would have moved, because I thought she was going to kick me, but she didn't. And that was one of the first theater moments that I quite enjoyed. I laughed quietly for the next 10 minutes while the rest of the play went on. I played Beethoven, but it wasn't in a long play. It was at the University of Akron, Ohio, 500-seat theater, beautiful theater. And what it was that Trish Hammond was the artistic producer, and she was also a teacher, and she had all these students that she would, at the end of the year, she hired myself and a friend of mine, Dominic Kuzakrea, and we would drive down there, and we would play numerous characters, introducing, as Beethoven, I played Schumann, I forget the characters I played now. But anyways, we had lovely costumes. And I would put on a costume, walk, and just come in and pretend I came from somewhere. So as Beethoven, I stuck things in my hair because I knew he loved to walk in the woods and the forest. And I came in one day and I had Daisy in my hair, with the wig on, and I had some other things. And then I came up and I would say to the person that was about to play a piece of Beethoven's music, I was just taking a walk in the woods, and I stopped to smell a sunflower. The flower was beautiful, big. Then a bumblebee came along. I thought, boom, 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 amazing. And then another bumblebee came along and jumped onto the flower, and I went, boom, 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 boom. And I thought, whoa, this is so exciting. And then another bumblebee came along, boom, and there's 3 of them on the sunflower. And I thought, I shall name it The Flight of the Bumblebee. With a stupid name. I'll call it the 5th. Anyways, that was how I introduced the characters that I was playing. I mean, the person, I would do an introduction, and then a student or a graduate would then play a piece from Beethoven. And I would applaud them, say how wonderful they were, and go and put on another costume and play another character to introduce another piece. But, okay, one day, they decided to do something a little different. Oh, yes, it was different. They said, hey, do you want to do the last moment of Beethoven when he was deaf and he couldn't actually hear anything? He didn't know that he was like, that they loved his work? I said, yeah, sure. I thought, no problem. It's an improv and there's no words involved. Good, I don't have to memorize anything. Fine. So I did my introduction. Now, one thing I did forget. They had brought in a graduate from prior years who was now he was an opera singer, and he was with the New York Opera. And they brought him in to sing Ode to Joy and some other classical pieces just to lift up the entire performance. And he was quite the wonderful singer. So he's singing this song, and it is beautiful. And I've been told that I'm now doing that last moment when Beethoven doesn't know. He's become deaf. Now, I'm watching this, and I'm only maybe 4 feet away from him. This opera singer who's singing full voice. All of a sudden, it became silent. He went into the distance. I could hear him, but not really. And then the end of the song came, and I started to applaud. And I'm seeing that I've got this opera singer in front of me, but I can't really hear him. I'm not sure what's going on anymore. Trish comes over and turns me around. It's a 500-seat theater. The audience is applauding like crazy. And I just started crying. Tears just flowed down my face because all of a sudden, it felt like the real moment of Beethoven when he couldn't hear, didn't know that these people loved his music, loved what he had just done. It was awe-inspiring, and I call those, I don't know, magic moments in theater. Other theater stories. Okay, I was in a production that I loved. It was a Christmas show, and it was at the Sanderson Theater in Brantford. A beautiful stage. The theater was built in 1920. It had all the old vaudevillians that came, and many a good player had played that theater. They got their pictures all over the wall. It was in a Christmas show, and it was Madeleine. 12 little girls, and the smallest of them was Madeleine. There was a big bridge on the stage, and the 12 little girls were on the bridge. We had Father Christmas in one corner, and they built a ramp so I could look out. There was a live band as well in this particular show, and they were off to the right-hand side. Now, that band, it wasn't an intermission, it was an interlude, would play Christmas carols, and the audience could sing along at one point in the show. Well, that point was, I don't know, 4 to 8 minutes long. And it was the only break that I got because I was playing Madeleine's ghost father, who also led the show throughout. I would tell the audience what was happening. They never saw me or heard me because I was a ghost. Father Christmas saw me every once in a while. Often the spotlight was put on me, and it's, way up in the rafters, the spotlight. So I could tell what was going on, and then they would move it to the scenes that were playing on this beautiful stage. Well, the only break I got in that show was when the band got to play and do their Christmas carols. Well, this one night, the person who's running the spotlight can't make it. So Peter had another crew assistant that he asked. Peter was the director, Peter Muir. He was directing the show. So this person went up to him, and Peter was busy and didn't really think much of it, and said to him, he said, well I've never run the spotlight. What do I do? Who do I keep it on? Where does it go? He said, just follow Paul. He's all over, he's the center of this thing, so just follow him. Follow his character. And he went, okay. And off he goes to the rafters. Now, the show starts. The music plays. The girls are on the bridge. It is beautiful. I'm out over the audience in this ramp. It's time for that interlude where the band gets to play. I get off the stage for a few minutes and get a rest. Now, I'm trying to get off the stage. There's a spotlight following me. And now I'm moving towards the right, and it's following me over there. And now I'm moving towards the left, and it's following me there. And then I'm moving to the very back of the stage, 80 feet at the back, and it's still on me. The band has been playing all this time. I can't seem to get a break. I get behind Father Christmas, and then the spotlight's on the two of us. So I put my arm around him. Fine, now I don't know what to do. I can't get away from this darn light. I think, okay, where should this light be? It should be on the band. It's their moment. So I go right across the stage, stand in the middle of the band, and have the drummer to one side, the singer to another side, the other players, and I'm between them all, so at least the light is on them. And the light stayed on them until their interlude was over. I sang along with a couple of Christmas carols, and then went back to my other spots to continue the show. But I didn't get a break that night. The Grinch was easy to sell back then. We had the rights before Ron Howard bought them from Mrs. Geisel. I actually spoke to her to get the rights to be able to do it. The man who wrote The Grinch and many other...
Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss, yeah. He had passed away. She had the rights, and she didn't want to give them up. But we were donating a very large percentage of our box office to Christmas baskets, which was for the poor to get turkeys and stuff at Christmas. Yeah, yeah. We were giving them 60%, and our 40% covered the costs and a little bit of money for us. And talked to her and explained what was going on, and that we were only doing this for 5 shows this year, and we did it for 3 years. But she agreed. She gave us the rights. She was charming, delightful, and sounded very old, but very nice. And so we did that show for 3 years in a row, and then Ron Howard and what's his name, Jim Carrey, played the Grinch, and they bought the rights, and for that point we couldn't do it anymore. The first year, the set was just amazing. There was a woman by the name of Giovanna. She built the whole set out of cardboard except for the rails and the sled. Yes. And it would go about 20 feet, but that was enough to give the image and everything else. And it was a lovely show. And because we sold the tickets for $8 a piece.
Holy cow, what year was that?
I think it was 1991, 92, somewhere back then.
Wow. Okay,
before they did the movie. And it sold out like crazy. There were lineups, and even we had a Sunday matinee where we still had the theater. And on the Saturday night show afterwards, we just said, look, we still have a show. We could do a show tomorrow afternoon. It's not booked, but if you want to tell your friends, please let them come in, and we'll do a show tomorrow afternoon. We got about 500 people just from word of mouth showing up because it was so cheap. Families could afford it. They could bring all their kids and see the show, and it was such fun, and the costumes were great. I love doing Christmas shows.